everyone. My name is Ivana, PhD student at the University of Tokyo, member of YASHIRO laboratory. Today I'm going to talk about my paper, which refers to the enhancement of resilience in a community in a post-disaster condition, which was motivated by the disasters in Japan last year. So there goes my presentation. As a reference, here's the presentation outline, what you can follow at the bar located at the top. The target of this paper refers to the recovery and enhancement of community in a post-disaster situation. What can get understood by this scheme? In what a community in a normal situation suffers a disaster. This event may break the normal flow of communication in a social network, mostly at the post-disaster scenario. At this recovery process, some families keep living at their original houses and some people are arranged in shelters or temporary houses. Based on a special different location, at the connection strength, unavoidable gets changed. The target of this paper is to retake the robustness of the human network based on a methodology that catalyzes the reconstruction plan of an affected area by the disaster, which I will explain from now on. The statements of this methodology defines the human network divided in two layers. One is the emotional-based layer in what the social exchange simply happens by affinity or circumstanced by all common activities. The other layer is defined by a space-based comprehension in what specific public or private spots supports the human connections. For example, a family gets connected to another family in determined node, and the same event also happens to other families, and it goes. To explain the methodology, I will present an application in a study case located in northeast of Japan at Miyagi prefecture. A small village named Shibitachi is part of Kesennuma city and turned an experimental site of this methodology. This village was one of the many areas affected by the tsunami of 2011 in Japan. Shibitachi's economy is based on activities related to fishery. The community leaders present a very energetic attitude, and you can perceive a very strong social network in between, what confers a very interesting social resilience environment. Here we can see the hazard map, which assessment was based on geographic comprehension over the village. Shibitachi is threatened by multiple hazards that got combined in this map. That includes earthquake, tsunami, typhoon, landslides. The most vulnerable area is highlighted in yellow. The disaster of 2011 exactly hit the identified area and collapsed 90 of 252 houses located at the village. Here we can see how was Shibitachi before the disaster. Also the sequence of events that strongly affected the village. The tsunami destroyed most of the buildings located in low areas close to the bay. Besides, fire was brought by the sea after the Kesennuma main city fire. Here we can see the temporary housing sites distributed at Karakuwa peninsula, what present a mix of families, not just from Shibitachi, but also other families from Karakuwa peninsula that had no social relations in between. Shibitachi families were identified among the families, and it was found that there are 22 families living in temporary houses. So, where are the other 68 affected families living? It was identified using Google Maps the location of people before the disaster. These tool allowed to find the damaged houses of families in temporary houses. The village is divided by 5 administration regions as it can be observed in these areas. The map of memories methodology includes 6 phases. 1. Take the list of the family members. 2. Identify the nodes of the village during the workshop. 3. Identify who knows who in Shibitachi. 4. Identify where people meet people. 5. Map of social relations, pre and post disaster. 6. find out who should be near to whom at the new relocation of households. The map of memories methodology was applied as a family dynamic workshop in what it was presented the village map fixed in a softboard in what it was possible to pin flags dividing the nodes of human meetings over public spaces of the village into social, environmental, and economical meetings motivation, which is the basic triangle of sustainability. The definition of families to join the Map of Memories workshop had into consideration location to cover the different areas of the village. As a result, it was identified the amount of 40 nodes divided into categories of sustainability, and the first finds could get realized. It was identified much more nodes of where people meet each other than initially expected, based on the workshop trial. The dynamic allowed a better understanding of the organization and dynamics of the community by the identified activities. Local culture particularities could be extracted by the dynamic process what disclosed memories over affected areas. It was possible to establish weights and importance of the nodes by the conversation with the families. Making a balance between how many times the spots were identified by the families during the workshop in what it was represented by size-colored circles. It was a result of a combination with the information identified by the conversation during the activities. 7 spots were considered important enough to be transported to the survey phase of possible nodes of meeting between the community families. The first part of the survey included a map in what it was removed the collapsed houses after the disaster, and it was presented some scenarios of relocation of temporary housing people over the village fabric under the question, in the future, in which projected scenario below do you feel better to have in Shibitachi, considering the point of view of social networks? 41 questionnaires got responded on site. At scenario 1, the new houses got spread all over the village. 11 responders selected this option. At scenario 2, the new houses got spread all over the village, forming small groups. 10 responders selected this option. At scenario 3, the new houses got grouped in one big site. 4 responded selected this option. At scenario 4, the new houses got grouped in 2 sites, respecting particularities of the 2 parts of the village. 15 responders selected this option, what represented the mostly selected option. The scenario 4 of the relocation was based on social networks and probably based on their current reality of relocation proposed by the prefecture. It was observed in workshop phase that there was a division between families that used to live nearby Minato area, which is the port, and those that are used to live nearby Fujihama area, in the other bay of the village where there is another port. This is the real survey used during the questionnaires made on site. It was written in Japanese, the local language, to clarify all kinds of comprehension over the questions. For the second part of the survey, it was asked some strategic questions to form the strong social network of the village. To avoid uncomfortable situation, it was asked to list 5 families that they would call in case of emergency. Then it was asked the walking distance between their houses, as it was before the disaster. Then it was asked the spot of meetings between the families. Afterwards, it was asked how often they still meet after the disaster, identifying how stronger or weaker became the relationship because of their new locations. To support this part of the survey, it was prepared a complete list of village people in what they could easily find their social connection at the village. It was given a code for each family to confer an speed for the output procedures. For the individual outputs of each family, it was prepared a template in what it was possible to identify all related families and their spatial related connection in between. The template also contains basic information in order to define a family profile. Making an initial analysis over the shape of the social network, the result of the combination of all individual outputs resulted in social network village map that could cover the connection of 116 families, disclosed by the 41 responders output. The map received different colors, blue for the families affected by the tsunami and pink for those not affected by the tsunami. This map shows that there is an active connection between the affected families and some participation of the families that are still living in their original houses. People that was not located who had their houses damaged but are not occupying temporary houses can get located by social networks of responders. Relationship with public nodes of where people meet people indicates they feel more comfortable to live nearby this area in the future. People could express by the first survey how would they feel comfortable in the future as social network aspect. People that are living in their original houses complained by the loneliness conferred by the absences of previous neighbors. The result of this map can guide the recovery plan of the village in order to keep the social strength over happiness, sense of belonging, and information exchange. The findings over the dynamic of social network can give valuable guides to enhance the social resilience over the post-disaster reconstruction. These may be a key of successful relocation map to avoid deaths, consequence of loneliness as it occurred in Handom's relocation system, like in Kobe disaster in 1995. The social network analysis, including relevant location, is a new point of view over the human network. People are connected to people based on some spatial layer of the community. That concludes my presentation. Please, if you have any question, don't hesitate to send me a message in the email below. Then I will respond to you with my big pleasure. Thank you very much.